Hi, I'm Eric Lanass. We're here at Editor's Day in Santa Clara. Joining me now from Dog Hunter is Tanaya Hurst. Tanaya, great to have you. Great to see you again.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I guess, first and foremost, you've brought a friend.
I have. This is one of my favorite projects. This is Arduini, and he is powered by an Arduino Yun.
Fantastic, which I guess gets us to what we really want to talk about. What's going on? You're always so animated and emotional about some of the things that you're working on, some of the projects. What's the latest?
Well, I've just been on this great year of hackathon tour kind of thing that I've just sort of made up myself, like finding every event I possibly could. And I loved being inspired by what people were making with Arduino, with Lenino, with other hardware. Because as a maker, I just want people to have the best tools to make the best projects. And what I've really been seeing is, of course, a lot of home automation and IoT ideas. And then for our hardware, where we're trying to help out more in that way, is with Chihuahua 101 and Arduino Industrial. So if I'm a maker that's been in the biz for like 5-10 years and I'm sort of over it, okay, I made my own little things in my house, but I want to maybe develop my own product. We're trying to give people an option that for a low cost, they can prototype with something as small as an SD card, which is what Chihuahua is, and then that's the brain that goes in your hack.
So that's interesting. One of the things that you're kind of getting at, I think, is there's a lot of these, home tinkerers and enthusiasts trying to just sort of play around and toying around with things. It's not always easy to get from that stage to actually getting, product out, even on a small scale, out to a market.
Definitely. And people are using a lot of the, obviously social media, but ways of, funding online. And I think that's awesome. And we want to just, try to help in that way. But the other cool thing that's going on is that we just launched this thing called Arduino Foundation. And I am super psyched about it because I've been hearing about this forever. And so say you're like one of my friends in Guatemala, because I got to teach wearable tech in Guatemala this year, which is awesome. Say I've developed or they have developed a shield. Well, there's not a lot of hardware manufacturing in Guatemala, it turns out. So even if there was, they could make their own shield, but then Arduino Foundation would also make that shield and make it available to the world, and then my friends in Guatemala get to profit from it. So this is true if people want to make, Arduino copies or motor shields or whatever they're trying to go for. But I think that's really cool that we're trying to make this model of bringing it back to the makers, but making what they've made accessible to everyone.
I think most of the folks out there are exposed to a very small percentage of the kind of projects and products that people are working on. What are some of the neat things that you're either working on or some of the things that you're seeing people working on?
Ooh, well, this year there were a lot of these appliance hacks, which was really clever, I thought. But I'll give you an example. There's this thing about refrigerators, right? Where we want to make a smart shelf and have the shelf tell us right when I'm at the store, standing in front of the milk aisle, do I need more milk? I don't need to know before that moment. Why would I need to know? So we want this smart shelf that says, actually your roommate drank it all and there's 25% of the bottle left, you should buy more. And I'm like, that's cool. Every house should have that. Maybe not, but wouldn't a restaurant just epically love that, where they could just look instantly at their inventory and just know what's up when it has been put back in the refrigerator, which is where it has to go anyway? And then we could do that for non-refrigerated items as well and make smart shelves based on weight or maybe with color sensors or, however it needs to be set up. So I sort of see the smart home area as the mini version of how we're trying to sort this out, but where can it correlate to hospitals, to nursing homes, that kind of thing?
Well, I think actually when you're talking about using that same example that you did, when you're talking about a restaurant or somebody in the hospitality space, you take that one step further because they've got to place those orders. So then those orders can get placed automatically, and you sort of take human involvement out of that, and staff can be more efficient doing what they really need to do.
Oh yeah, but that's a little what some people are worried about. But you could set it up to do that, and then when you need to, you can go in there and say, actually, no one's eating broccoli this week, or whatever the thing is that we don't need as much of this or whatever. But I'm totally with you. Exactly. It's that linking those steps together where all those were decisions and it was a job with somebody in a clipboard to take inventory. Please.
You raise an interesting point, though. There are a fair number of people concerned that wearable tech and IoT and M2M are all sort of we're at risk for losing jobs. I'm not sure that's the case, because it's going to make people more efficient. It's going to make people have to do other things, but it's ultimately going to make all of our businesses operate more effectively, more smoothly.
I completely agree. I mean, I think the whole, global warming, like even all these big problems, they are like, I won't say solvable, but we need to start taking these steps where, like definitely, like with lighting, of course, But then what's so funny is then people want to do these like things with their home, where it's like, I want my lights to turn on every night while I'm on vacation, when I could be saving electricity with my lights off. But then again, maybe it's not every night. You just turn them on every other night or something, to trick the burglars, So it's like, that's what's so funny, is there are some things where we're like definitely trying to save energy and water and all those things necessary, and then other ways we're like, oh, but this is a function we would want to control. But I ultimately think it's all going to be a good thing, and not everyone has to join in. But I think that there will be enough jobs, certainly in the programming world, but there are just new companies all the time coming up with these solutions. So,
well, I think we're in an environment now where you've got, you talk about youngsters growing up and learning about, things like other technologies, where mobile apps and development and wearable tech, and some of the projects that you've worked on, especially with kids.
Totally.
We're raising an entirely different generation of children and young adults, where their mentality coming into the workforce is going to be much more different. Having these skills is going to be imperative for them.
I completely agree, and that's where. And also from the maker perspective, when I want to teach, like sewing with electronics, for example, you can see I've got one of my little ones here. Like, I'm teaching kids about the circuit itself physically, but then the bonus is, and all the grandmas are, with me, that they're like, they get to learn sewing, so that if they're going to their business meeting with TMC and they have a button pop off, they'll know how to sew it. They'll know how to mend it. But what's really cool is, this is actually a circuit on the back, and this is just one of the first ones I ever made, but we're sewing with conductive thread, so they're just like, what? You can sew with a circuit? So they're reimagining the whole world around us and like what you can do. And then sort of the next level, and this one is obviously a little more complicated than we can see up close, but I have all these different switches. So kids are seeing how you can use snaps or hooks or magnets, two-way switches, all these different interactions. So they're like, oh, wearables don't necessarily have to look this way, So that's what's really cool for me, is being a maker, is you break things, you take things apart, you fix things, and you create.
You put those young creative minds to work, coming up with all these fantastic new ideas. And I know you've always been big on the sunglasses as well. What do you got?
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I've got the Macetech LED shades. They are basically the coolest thing I own. How can you not deny that? What we got to do with the RGBs is they do need one of these extra little external powers, but once you got them going, they're pretty styling.
Anything else that we can look forward to that you're working on? What's next for you?
Well, always wanting to help in education and get it out there, but it occurred to me the other day that most of America still doesn't know what a breadboard is, and so it's my goal to get everybody on the breadboard and going, whether it's Yoon Mini or whatever hardware you want to do. But breadboarding is like the new Lego. It's so much fun. You just follow the instructions, and if you innovate and create something cool, there are programs that you can record what you've done, and I think that is epic to learn about the physical circuits here.
Fantastic. Tanaya, always great to see you. Thanks for being here with us.
Thank you, TMC.